Hello, #Listen fam. It's Callie Hendricks here, back with another episode of The Theatre. And my guest today needs absolutely no introduction to the #Listen podcast. Mr. Eric Koch, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back, rather. It is great that I also get to interview you. You are someone who has been doing some amazing things in the filming industry. And as the #Listen team, we're really proud of how far you've come and and excited for what is next. So congratulations on your remarkable achievement so far. One of your movies were just aired on CakeNet.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what that experience was like.
I'm blessed to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me back.
Sure.
And going to experience of getting Lisbeth this far, I must say that it's been a long time coming.
Sure.
Because I wrote the story in 2017 and I posted it on my Facebook page, Roodepan Stories. And it received a very good reception from the readers. They loved Lisbeth, they loved the story. And then Radio Timaneng approached me in 2018 to do a reading of the story. And then 2019, when I was in Johannesburg, I attended the Sakai script to screen bootcamp in Johannesburg. And in my introduction, I said that, when I return back to Kimberley, I'm going to make my very first Afrikaans feature film because I want to expose my language, my province, my people, the culture, the heritage that we have here in our province. And at that moment, I honestly didn't know how, where, and when I was going to do it, but I was so determined. Yeah. And when I returned, I adapted the story into a screenplay, and then I went on that journey of looking for funding.
Yes.
And then COVID hit in 2020, and I applied to the NFVF for funding. I haven't, I didn't have a clue where to start or how to do it, but I tried my luck, and the NFVF responded, and they liked the story as well. So in 2020, we began filming of Lisbeth. Production finally began, and it wasn't easy because we were hit with every single obstacle that you can think of. I can imagine, sure. There was the Kimberley shutdown, the strike, whole week. There was the water shutdown. There was load shedding.
Everything that could happen in 2020
happened. And we were shooting under lockdown, COVID-19.
Sure.
Now, the story was written in 2017. That was pre-COVID.
Yes.
So as the writer, I had to decide, am I going to adapt the story now to the current situation, which is COVID, or am I going to keep to the original story, which was a bit of a challenge because now you have actors that have to go, that are sanitized and they wear their mask off stage, but then when they go on set, they must take them off and, the social
interact with one another.
Exactly. And we have to make it look like it's not COVID. Mind you, we're shooting under lockdown and restrictions, and we can't shoot here and we can't shoot there. And I really would have loved to have shown more of Roodepan. Unfortunately, we couldn't really move around as much. But then we went into post-production right after shooting, and I submitted the film to Tokoza Film Festival 2022.
Sure.
And Lisbeth really cleaned the floor there. Lisbeth took 5 awards.
Sure.
And remember, the film was screened in Tokoza, Johannesburg, a predominantly non-African speaking area. And my main concern was that, South Africans don't really like to read subtitles on movies. But it proved that if your story is good and interesting enough, they will sit. One lady stood up and said that, Mr. Koch, this is the very first Afrikaans film that I watched from beginning to end without saying, hey, I'm bored now or anything like that. And I must say that the journey after that to get it now onto TV, it was a learning process for me.
Yes.
It was a learning process for me.
Yeah, sure.
To deal with broadcasters, to deal with you must not do this, you must not do that, fix the color, fix the sound, final delivery, all of that. But I'm very thankful for the people that I met along the way.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm so grateful for one of the very prominent directors in the industry who saw my film at the Mbala Film Festival, actually in Kimberley.
Sure.
And he came to me and he said to me, Eric, take your film to the broadcasters. Fix up what you must fix, sound, color, everything, but take it to the broadcasters. And, you know, it took that one person to believe in the film.
Sure.
And I used that as my motivation throughout.
Yeah.
And along the way, I met a few people that disappointed. But towards the end, I met someone that really had proven to me that there are some people in the industry that it's not just about money, it's about the craft. It's about really creating something uniquely great.
Sure. And tell me, how has the team been feeling after this incredible milestone?
You know, because it's been, I mean, we wrapped in 2021. And we had Lisbeth's red carpet in 2022. That's when they saw themselves now at the red carpet. Roodepan's very first red carpet
event. Sure.
And it was, wow, it was epic. And after that, now we went into trying to get it to broadcast. So it went silent, you know. And they would ask me throughout the years, Mr. Kok, what's going on? Why are you so quiet? And because now you sign NDAs, you can't really divulge information. So you have to be careful what you do share and what you can't share. But when I finally broke the news that Lisbeth will finally be screened on TV, Kyknet, one of the biggest Afrikaans channels in South Africa, they were ecstatic.
Sure.
They were like, yo, Mr. Kok, we did it. We can't wait. And the rest of the team, the crew also, we were all excited. We were all very excited because
I can imagine.
I remember on the last day of filming, before we said our prayer and thank God for having carried us through that journey of production, I said that the dream now is to get this film onto a channel so that people can see the talent that we have in our province.
Sure.
And I believe that we have achieved that.
Yes, definitely. Sure. Now tell me, as the visionary behind your movies, how do you balance your role as a storyteller and then managing the business side of the film industry?
Sure, it's not easy, especially being writer, director, and producer, and you have to manage the company as well. It's a lot of hats to wear. And honestly, if you don't have that driving force, if you don't have that passion, it can become very tedious and heavy at times. But you know, if you're someone that really has faith in yourself, but most importantly in God, I think that you can do things. Even though it's not easy, because it's not easy to do all of that. So what I do, I put on my writer's hat when I develop the stories, write the script, and then after that I put on my director's hat, get the vision, and then obviously the producer's hat as well, to ensure that everything runs accordingly, because you are at the end of the day in charge of everything. Someone can come with a pen and ask you, is this the right color pen? Is this the right type of pen? And you are the last one that must say yes or no. So really it takes a lot. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Sure. And when you are when you're shooting a film, when you're writing, you obviously have to take into consideration not just what you are doing, but also the talent that you're bringing on. How do you ensure that and manage that the vision for your film remains what it is, and then manage all of these people?
You know, if I hope on my third film there will be less obstacles, you know, outside third force obstacles, because it's not easy having to deal with the crew, with production, and then with the cast. And I really told myself from my very first short films, I want to expose unearthed talent, raw talent. I don't want known actors or known people in the industry, because I feel when will the ones that are aspiring, that are upcoming, also get the limelight? So I want to unearth those talent and expose them. But I find a method to work with upcoming actors, new actors, that I make them at home, I make them at ease, that I don't put too much pressure on them because I know that the camera can be very
Yeah, it
intimidating at
can.
times, especially if there's lights added to it and
Yes,
people are
yes,
standing behind the camera looking at you, waiting for you to
yes,
perform.
yes.
But yeah, I try and make it as comfortable and as easy as I can for them. But I
Yeah,
also have how can I say, the ability to take their ideas and their
yes.
input and play off that.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
never want the actor especially to feel that they're a puppet. They must just repeat what the
What you
script
said.
says. I
Sure.
let them also explore their own talents.
Yeah. Tell me, what has been some of the challenges? You mentioned it, like COVID happened while you were filming. What has been some of the challenges that you faced during your producing your award-winning movies, and how did you overcome them?
The first one was funding. You
Yeah.
know, I before I approached the NFVF, I knocked on every door possible that I could think of in Kimberley, and yeah, that was very challenging. And
Sure.
at times, I felt like, is this idea really as good as I think it is? Because
Yes,
why
yes,
aren't
yes.
people believing in this thing? Why aren't people
Yeah,
latching
yeah.
on to it? But I must say that when NFVF did, they didn't give what I asked for, but at least what they did grant, we could get Lisbeth off the ground and then make
Yes,
it a
yes.
reality. But other than that, we have a lack of resources in the Northern Cape. We have a lack of support. We have a lack of equipment, especially, and also knowledge and skills. Especially at the time when I started with Lisbeth,
Yeah.
there weren't that many people in the industry as there are now.
Now, sure.
So sometimes I had to also work with people from outside of the province and get knowledge from them and get experience from them. But yeah, there has been an uphill battle, especially for the fact that we don't really have the necessary resources, the necessary facilities in our province.
Sure. What has been some of the lessons that you and your team have learned throughout, the process from when you started to now having your movie on a platform like CakeNet? And how do you see yourself taking those lessons into your next project?
You know, I would say all of us, we had to learn to make patience our best friend. Honestly.
Yeah, sure.
because it was a long journey and frustrating.
Yes.
And the other thing I would say personally is that I had to learn to compromise less. Because there were instances where I would compromise on certain things
Sure.
that I'm not happy with, that I didn't want it to go that way. And now I'm more adamant to say that no. I think I'm going to compromise much less,
Sure.
so that original idea that I have, because if you look at Lisbeth, close to 80% of what I envisioned and what I wrote in the original story, it is there, but there are some elements that we had to cut or leave or change or all of that. But it did turn out very good. But yeah, I think that one should really compromise less
on the idea,
because
sure.
then at the end of the day, you might sit there, watch your work and say, I didn't really want it to be
look
like
like
that.
that,
Yes,
yes.
I wanted it this way. So rather do it your way. So that even if it fails, then you know that you failed on your terms.
Yeah, sure. That's powerful, knowing that you failed on your terms and not
Yes.
because. And the same then goes for when you succeed, being proud of the work that you produced and being like,
Exactly.
I did that, you know,
Yes.
and that was my idea.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk about business systems, because I know that when we're in the creative space, creativity tends to take center stage, but there's the side that we normally forget about or don't really have that much insight, and that's the side that actually brings in the money, you know, the business side. So how do you need to adjust to make sure that you also bring that side on board?
You know, I'll be very honest. I'm a more creative person than I am. How can I say, or that I focus more on the business side of it. But because you have so much power as the producer, you know, you have the final say, and sometimes that creative voice will come through and say, you know, buy that pot plant instead of the small flower because it will look better. And it's one thing that I really need to incorporate and become much more stricter on, because at the end of the year, yes, you do have what you wanted, but at the end of the day, it came at a cost. And I would say that there is one aspect that I really need to grow in,
Sure.
because, or rather, step more back as the producer, and rather just have that creative control as the director and the writer,
Sure.
so that I can listen to a producer that will say, no, 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 Mr. Cock, this will take us over budget. No,
Okay.
Mr. Cock,
Yes.
I
Yes.
get
Sure.
what you're saying, but
yeah.
business-wise, it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And how do you ensure your creative projects are financially sustainable and effectively marketed?
You know, I have to say that there is, I think on TikTok, they have this thing where they will say that treat your parents with special, because it's the first time that they're also experiencing things. And in my situation, this is the first time that I'm sitting here with a feature film on a channel, TV
Yes,
channel.
sure.
And it, it hasn't been easy for me to get to this point. But I took Lisbeth as a learning curve, you know, because there were so many potholes to get to this point that I had to make many mistakes. But through those mistakes, I learned. You
Yeah.
know, I even wrote a document
Sure.
where I now know, okay, avoid that road, avoid this going
Yes,
here, avoid
yes.
going there. So now for my second film, I'm much more educated and I'm much more wiser.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
with
and that's
these-
important.
Yes,
Sure,
exactly.
sure. Are there any tools and strategies that you would recommend fellow creatives looking into professionalizing their businesses?
I think you have to find balance. As much as you may be a creative person, what I did in the beginning though, I did link up with someone that was my business balance, that balanced me out in terms of business, so I can focus on the creative side. Um, Unfortunately, we're not working together anymore,
Yeah.
but that helped me because then I can focus on this whilst
While
I know that the administration and all of those
Yes, all of
things,
that is being
yeah.
taken care of. Sure.
But I think educate yourself in business, educate yourself, especially in administration, because business is a lot of admin.
Yes.
There's a lot of compliances that you have to do. Make sure that your checks and balances are in order. Even though, you know, one would say, but this is an entertainment industry. Yes, but we also have
There
to
are also things.
answer to the same compliances and checks that other businesses have to answer to. So I would say that link up with people that have the same interest as you, but someone that maybe has an expertise
In the business
marketing,
side
in
of it,
business,
yes.
yes, in
Sure.
finance and such, so that you know that even if you lack there, you can learn from them.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's powerful. What's your ultimate vision for your movies and your career in the film industry?
You know, the other day I read a comment on Twitter. There was a video, CCTV video that played, and it was about the gangsterism in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And one person commented there and said, "Oh, to think that I almost dated a colored girl, and this is what the colored people do." I want to change the narrative.
Sure.
Honestly, I want to change the narrative. I want when, you know, if I can make an example, when Black Panther came out, many black people said that now our black kids can see themselves as Black Panther, as heroes.
Yes.
That's the same that I would like, especially for our province, to see ourselves on the big screens, to hear ourselves and relate, because that will inspire them to say, but I can also become like this person on
And
screen.
I don't need to change myself to become,
Exactly.
to get there.
Exactly.
You know.
I'm already great. I just need to bring it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. How do you hope to your work impact and contributes both locally and internationally or globally?
You know, a story such as Lisbeth, it's an internationally relatable story. I think anyone can relate with a story such as Lisbeth. And when I started, I always had this thing that I said that I don't want to make movies just for the sake of you know, coming and having special effects and having action scenes.
Yeah.
And there must be a message behind the stories that I tell. It must either inspire people or it must move them in some way. And that is really what I want to do. I want the stories that I tell to inspire people, to move people, but also to make people feel that I am seen, I am heard.
Sure.
I am present. I am here. Even if it's on screen, I can see myself there.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about collaboration. How important is collaboration, and what role has networking played in your success?
I have to say that I received a call the other day, and I said, I think it's because I was on hashtag just some time back. So
Sure,
that's one
sure.
example of networking with other
Yes,
like-minded people.
yes, sure.
But it's very important, especially in this industry.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it for a long time. I think since 2016, I've been saying that us here in the Northern Cape, especially the filmmakers, we must come together and build our own platform together. And that, because that is how Hollywood started. That is
Yeah.
how the South African film industry started. And the Northern Cape, the Northwest, and I think the Eastern Cape, we are lacking behind. And we can't work in silos.
Sure.
We must really come together, because if you take one candle and you put it there in the corner, it will only light there. But if you take a bunch of candles and you spread them, the light will spread also, and it will be much more effective.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we must do. We must really strive towards networking, strive towards collaborating and working together.
Sure.
And definitely with my third film, I want to infuse more of our local talents in that, so that people can see, these guys, they can sing, they can rap, they can act, they can.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, sure. Can you share with us any exciting projects or movies currently in the pipeline?
There are two in the pipeline.
Sure.
As I'm sitting here, I'm actually working on my third feature film, and
Okay, sure.
I'm very determined to put it on another level. I want people to watch it and say, "Wow,
Yeah,
we never thought that something like this,
This
something
can
of
come.
this scale can come from here." But definitely, there are two other projects that I'm working on. I can't really divulge now.
Yes.
But there are two other smaller projects that I am working on, and then definitely I'm already working on the screenplay for the third film.
Whoa, come on. I have a little whispers telling me that we'll be having Eric Koch back in a couple of months. No, but that's very great. And what goals do you have for your next chapter in your filmmaking journey?
I'll just put it out there. I once met with someone also in the industry, and I was introduced, and the person that introduced me said, this is Eric Koch. He's the best director from Roodepan.
Sure.
In Roodepan. And I'm standing there and I'm like, but why are you boxing me into Roodepan?
Sure.
Why didn't you say this is one of the best directors from the Northern Cape that's from Roodepan? You understand?
Sure.
Because I don't want people to say one day that Eric Koch is the Tyler Perry of the Northern Cape. I want people to say that Eric Koch is the Eric Koch from the Northern Cape.
Come on.
You understand?
Come on, sure. Yeah.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I set my mind on getting my first feature film 100%. On TV.
And you did that.
I've achieved that.
Sure.
So why can't I one day sit with Tyler Perry? Why can't I one day sit with Steven Spielberg? And I'm seeing them and be equal to them.
Sure.
But also learn from
them.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, those are some big goals. And I applaud that and support big goals. We need to dream bigger. Exactly. I think coming from the community that we come from, I come from Roodepan.
Yes.
I don't live there currently, but I am from there as well. And I think it is important that we dream bigger.
Exactly.
Because there's so much more than just where we come from.
Yes.
And it's important not to allow ourselves to be boxed in as the girl from Roodepan, the guy from Roodepan, and just, being there. Yes. We need to see ourselves on bigger platforms, on bigger stages, on international stages.
And it doesn't nullify where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Because I always say I'm from Roodepan.
Yeah.
But my dreams are outside of Roodepan.
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
One day I want to sit there at the Oscars. And then people must watch me and say that, hey, that's the Roodepan light.
Sure. And I think it also helps us because when you are in a place like Roodepan, that's it,
exactly.
Right? But when you move out, you get that young person and can say, but if Eric is there, what is stopping me from also striving to get there?
Exactly.
And that's why it's important for us to dream big,
yes.
And not limit ourselves. Eric, what final message would you like to share with our audience about perseverance, teamwork, and balancing art and business?
If people can look at Lisbeth's story. The ones who watched the movie on Sunday night,
Yeah.
the ones who read the story. Lisbeth didn't have a very easy journey, but at the end of her journey, it was worth it.
Sure.
And even the inception of Lisbeth, when I started writing it in 2017, I think other people might have given up and said that, I wrote the story 2017, it's 2020, nothing is happening.
Sure.
I finished the film in 2021, it's 2023, nothing is happening. What's going on? Look at the timeline that I had to go through, the challenges, the ups and the downs. If that is not perseverance, if that's not testament of having faith in something that you believe in, then I don't know.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's really very important to have patience, to have faith, to believe in yourself, and to always trust in God. Because there were so many times that I felt that, I think, am I really in the right industry?
Sure.
Yeah, man, this is too much now.
Yeah.
And then I would have that talk with God. And I would come back and I would remind myself and say, but our time isn't God's time. His time is the right time.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Elizabeth came out at the right time, and look at the reviews. The reviews, audience reviews speak for themselves.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm still getting people contacting me and saying, Mr. Kok, beautiful story, beautiful movie. I loved it.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, in this industry, doesn't matter your budget, doesn't matter your star power, the audience is the one with the final say.
Sure. That's 100%. Tell us, where can our listeners get a hold of you and stay connected?
They can follow me on Facebook, Eric R. Kok, or they can also follow my other page, Eric Kok Presents, and Kok Media on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Sure.
Yes.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us once again on the #Listen podcast. It was an absolute honor to do this interview with you, and for sure we'll have you back.
Thank you so much.
That brings us to the end of another episode of The Theatre. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like this video and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to our pages on YouTube as well as Facebook to stay connected. From me, Callie and The Theatre, signing out.